Hi everybody, I'm Sarah from RoomSketcher, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with RoomSketcher as a beginner. Now before we jump in, just wanted to show you our resources center, and you can find that on our website roomsketcher.com. And our resources center houses our helpful how-to videos, our help center. You can even join our weekly webinars, and if you're a business user, you can book free one-to-one training sessions. Now also remember to sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss any important product updates, and it also has some great tips and tricks. With RoomSketcher, you can create professional 2D floor plans with measurements and annotations. You can even create stunning 3D floor plans, which are great visuals for any client, and you can have them branded. So we can add your logo, we can add your brand colors to the floor plan itself. And if this is interesting, please reach out to us at support@roomsketcher.com, and we would be more than happy to give you more information and help you set this up. With RoomSketcher, you can also take low quality snapshots of the interior space, but if you want that little extra for your clients, definitely upgrade that to a high quality 3D photo. To get started, we first have to go to the RoomSketcher website and sign in. This will take you to your web portal, and the difference between the RoomSketcher app and your web portal is that the app is actually your floor plan editor, and web portal is where everything else happens. So this is where I would download the RoomSketcher app, and this is also where I would start a new project. So let's click New Project. We're gonna do Draw from Scratch, and then we need to start by adding a project name. And we usually recommend that you add the client's name or address as the project name. So I'm going to do Hilton Street 559 and click Create. Now all I have to do is click Edit Floor, Edit in App, and open RoomSketcher. And before we get started drawing a floor plan, I just want to give you a little bit of a lay of the land. And we're going to start with this orange menu in the top left corner. It's divided into 4 separate columns, starting with project. You can create a new project, open all your projects. You can save, make a copy. You have your project properties. So from here, you can do things like delete your project, share your project, and change the name of your project. You also have everything that you have created, everything you generated. So your 2D floor plans and your 3D floor plans, for example. Then you have level, and in RoomSketcher, a level is like a floor. So if you have a property with several floors, you would create several levels. And you can also use levels to create alternative floor plans. Or if you want to keep like the more technical, like measurements or electrical symbols separate from your furniture layout, you can also create separate levels. And you can create up to 9 levels within each project. From here, you can also rotate and flip your floor plan. Under View, you can do things like add a tape measure, zoom controller, and move controller. And under Tools, you have your account, your settings, and you can switch between meters or feet or change the language of the app. At the top here, you have your blue toolbar. And so here you can create a new project. You can save your current project. You can create a new level. You also have a few buttons here that are kind of faded, and that's just because I haven't selected anything yet. So from here, you can copy and paste, you can undo and redo, and you can delete. Lastly, we have a couple of 3D features. You have the 360 view. We're not going to look at that in this video, but we are going to look at this one, the live 3D button. We're going to come back to that in a little while. Moving all the way over to the right here, we have the mode button, and this is probably the most important one because this is the one you're going to be using the most. And the modes are basically the steps in which you build your floor plan. Starting with walls mode, where you draw your walls. Then you have windows, etc. mode, where you add windows, doors, stairs, and measurements. Materials, where you add materials for your floors and your walls. And furniture mode. And what's important to know is that while you're in walls mode, for example, you're not going to be able to change the elements of the other modes. So this is why you have to know this button so you remember to switch between them. We, of course, are going to start in walls mode, and these are the wall tools that we have. So we have the select tool, the exterior walls tool, the interior walls tool, and the divider line. And the only difference between the exterior and interior wall tools are the wall thickness, and those can be changed, or that can be changed right here. But it's just as a default, like as a standard wall thickness for the exterior and the interior. We're gonna start with the exterior wall. And I know a lot of you really want to click and drag. Please don't do that with the walls. So just click once to start, move your mouse, and click at each corner. So move your mouse, click, move your mouse, click, move your mouse, click, click, and click one last time to connect the walls. And it is really important that you do connect the walls. You need to do that to be able to add flooring. You also need to do that to be able to generate your final floor plans. And you probably noticed that I did not pay any attention to the wall lengths as I was drawing. That was intentional. This is just the way that I typically draw floor plans. I start by drawing the exterior shape of the room or the property, and then I go back in and change the wall lengths. So to do that, I'm first gonna switch to the select tool. And then there are two ways of changing the length. You can either click in the middle of the wall and drag, but it makes it a little bit tricky to get the exact decimal. And because I want my floor plan to be 100% accurate, what I can do instead is to click in the middle of the wall, and on either side of this wall, a circle appears. I'm gonna zoom in so it's a little bit easier for you to see. This circle right here, if I click on that, this appears in the settings. So here I'm able to put in the exact length for this wall. Just make sure you put in the new length on the right side of this wall, because you have the exterior side and the interior side. And for this wall, the exterior side is side A and the interior side is side B. I typically do the interior measurements, so I'm gonna change length B here. Right now it's 611 inches. It's supposed to be 580. So I'm just gonna change that, click enter, and it adjusts on its own. So I would just go through all of the walls doing the same thing, and then I would click on the plus sign to go back to the menu and start adding my interior walls. So again, you just click to start, move your mouse, and then click to connect. One more time, just click to start, move your mouse, and then click to connect. And something that I see sometimes with beginners, so don't be embarrassed if this has happened to you, is that you might accidentally click, and then you have this blue line following you, you get frustrated. No worries, just hit your escape key on your keyboard. The blue line disappears, but you're still able to continue drawing your walls. Now, if you accidentally click and in the frustration you accidentally click again, don't worry, just hit your escape key to get rid of the blue line, and then we're gonna do the undo button to get rid of that wall. The undo button is your best friend. Okay, now we have all our walls. Another thing you can do in walls mode is to click inside of a room, and you're able to choose the room name. So we do have a list here of typical residential room names, for example, bathroom. But if we're missing a room name that you need, or if you want it to be more specific to your client, for example, you can always change it at the top here. So if you wanted that to be WC, you just type that in, click anywhere, and now it's changed. Another thing you can do by clicking inside of a room is add the square feet or square meters of this room. We call it zone size, so you just turn that on. And this is the only measurement type that you can find in walls mode. Everything else will be found in Windows, etc. mode. And that is it for the basics of walls mode. So we are gonna move on to Windows, etc. mode. So in Windows, etc. mode, you can add doors, windows, stairs, and measurements. And we are gonna start by adding doors. Now, I am using a pro subscription for this video. So you'll see I have a lot of options, and that is great. But of course, if you're only doing 2D floor plans, you don't really need to be looking at the 3D symbols. And also, The single doors are all gonna look the same in 2D. The double doors are all gonna look the same in 2D. So if you're only doing 2D floor plans, you actually just need a few doors easily accessible. So what you can do is just add an item onto your floor plan. So the door, just click and drag. And then you can add that to your favorite list. So you have this heart button in the top right of the item settings. So I can click here to add it to my favorites. And to find your favorites, you can click on the plus sign to go back to the menu, and you have your favorites right here. So these are the items that I use all the time. I want to have easy access to these items so I don't need to scroll through the generic menu. This is a great way for you if you're only doing 2D floor plans, you're only using the same items over and over, to just have easy access to those. Click on the grid here to come back to the regular menu. Now back to the door that I just placed. You can just zoom in so it's easier for you to see. Once you've placed the door, you can click and drag the door itself to move it on this wall or to move it to a different wall. You can use these arrows to change the size of the door, but you can also put in the exact size on the right side here. And probably the most important button here for the doors is the flip door button, because it is so important that it opens the right way in order to have an accurate floor plan. Then I'm going to click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. I'm going to do the same thing, just click and drag. I'm going to add that door right on top of the wall. So when you're drawing the walls, make sure you're not leaving space for the windows and the doors, because you're going to be adding those right on top of the walls. And I need one last door. Click on the plus sign to go back to the menu, and I'm going to do a double door, click and drag, put that right there. Click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. I'm going to exit doors, and now we need to add windows. So I'm going to open the windows category. Works the same way as with the doors. Just click and drag to add it to your floor plan. And I'm going to be adding the same window throughout this project. So instead of going back and forth to the menu, I'm actually just going to copy and paste it. But before I copy and paste, I want to make sure that the edits are correct, that I've checked the measurements and everything, so that I am copying the same type. So I want to make this window a little bit bigger. Just going to place it right there. And now I want to copy it. So I can click on the copy button, then the paste, and then I can place it. But you can also use your keyboard shortcuts. So that's Control-C, Control-V for a Windows computer and Command-C, Command-V for a Mac computer. And just keep placing those until you have all the windows that you need. And there we go. Done. So I can click on the plus sign to go back to the menu and just exit windows. Last thing I want to show you here before we move on is how to add stairs. So these are the stairs that we have, and they can all be flipped to go the other way. So for this project, I just need a couple of steps going up to the entrance. I'm going to do this one, click and drag to place that right there. And you can see that this works a little bit differently than the windows and the doors. This actually works the same way as with furniture. So I have this arrow to rotate, and then I have these two arrows to change the size. And I'm going to place the stairs right next to my door here, and then I'm going to adjust the size to match the width of the door. One important thing when you're placing stairs is this red square right here. That's going to tell you what is the top of the stairs. So no matter how you change it or turn it, or if you change the type, this will always be the top of the stairs. Okay, at this point, I want to show you Live 3D, and let's see how our project looks so far. So I'm going to click on the Live 3D button, and just want to let you know that Live 3D is a pro feature, so you do need a paid subscription to use Live 3D. And this is what the project looks like so far. It looks really great. Let's have a look at our stairs. And oh, something is not right. And this is such a good way of showing you what another thing that's really important with stairs. And that is changing the stair type. Because obviously we don't want the stairs going up into the door. We want it going from beneath the door up. So I'm gonna close down Live 3D for now, click on the stairs, and in the stair settings, I'm gonna change type from above floor to below floor, because above floor means that it's going from the current floor up, but I want it going from the current floor down. So click below floor. Let's look at that in Live 3D again. And there we go. Now the stairs are going the way they should. Okay, moving on to materials. I'm gonna change the mode. And if you're only doing 2D floor plans, you can skip the materials mode. That is not gonna show up on your 2D floor plans. And this is just a default flooring. This is not gonna show up on your 2D floor plans either. So this is only if you are doing 3D floor plans. But it's very easy to add. And you can see it is easily categorized. So we can start with tiles for the bathroom. Again, you have to scroll through, just familiarize yourself with the menu so that you know what we have. And then I'm gonna do this tile right here, click and drag, place that in the room I wanna change, release the mouse, and it's gonna ask you if you wanna add it to the walls, the floor, or both. For the bathroom, I'm gonna do both. And there we go. And right now I'm a little bit zoomed out, so that's why the tiles look a bit strange. But if I zoom in, you see it normalizes. And in the generated floor plan, it is gonna look perfect. Okay, I can exit tiles. I wanna add carpets to the bedroom. So I'll do this one, click and drag, release the mouse. For this one though, I'm only gonna do the floor. There we go. And obviously because of the perspective we have with this floor plan, we can easily see the changes we make to the floors, but we're not gonna be able to see the changes we make to the walls, like this. So we have to be a little bit creative. I'm gonna exit carpets and do wallpaper one colored so I can show you. And let's do this one, click and drag. And you see that I get this blue frame when I'm adding a material to a room. And I'm gonna release my mouse. And when I click walls, that frame is going to blink. Did you see it blink? So that means that it has been added. And now if I wanna have a look and see what it looks like, I can do that in two ways. I can use the camera. This one is available for free users as well. Just wanna rotate that, click take snapshot, and I can open that to see what it looks like right now. So this is a great way for the free users to have a look in 3D. I can of course also open Live 3D to see all the changes at once. So these two are the rooms that I changed, and this has the default materials. So as you can see, it's very easy to add materials, and we are gonna move on to furniture. And there are probably 100 things that I could show you in furniture mode, but I think the most important thing and probably the most difficult thing for a beginner is how to add kitchens. So that is what I'm gonna focus on in this video. And I have kind of a step-by-step that I usually go for with adding kitchens. And if I'm doing a corner or like a U-shaped or L-shaped kitchen, I will always start with the corner piece. And I know that this is at the top of the kitchen category, so I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into the kitchen category and grab this corner piece right here. Click and drag, just gonna place that first. Then I'm gonna zoom in a little bit to this area where we're gonna do the kitchen, just so it's easier for you to see. Move the corner piece, gonna rotate that, and then place it right there in the corner. Next thing I wanna add are the appliances. So I'm gonna click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. I'm gonna click search, and then I'm gonna search for oven. We can do this one, click and drag. And what's important in order to do it this way is of course to know where the different appliances are supposed to be located. So I know that the oven is right between these two windows, so I'm gonna place that right there. Then I'm gonna click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. I'm gonna click search again, and this time I'm gonna search for a sink, and I can do kitchen sink cabinet. And I will do this double sink right here, click and drag. I know the sink is supposed to be right underneath the window, so I'm gonna put this right here. Great. And with all of the furniture items that we have, you can always change the size either by using the arrows here or by adding the exact dimensions in the settings on the right side. So I'm going to click on the plus sign to go back to the menu, and I'm going to search for a dishwasher. And when you're searching, you don't necessarily need to use the whole word either. You can just search for dish and see what comes up. Here I have my dishwashers. So I'm going to click and drag to add that. And here is something new. With the other pieces that I added, it's quite easy to see what the front of the item is. With this one, it's not so easy. So with the regular kitchen cabinets with shelving, anything like that, that's just a square, it's impossible to know what's the front and what's the back. And that's why we've added this eye. So the eye represents the front of the item, and we want it pointing out towards the middle of the room. So you can place that right there, and now it's pointing the right way. We don't want the dishwasher being backwards when we're doing the floor plans and the 3D photos. You can click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. We also need a fridge. So I'm gonna search for ref is usually enough to get refrigerators. And then I can add this one. Click and drag. And I'm gonna place that right here. Okay. Now, all that's left to add are the cabinets. So I'm gonna click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. I'm gonna exit fridges, and I'm just gonna go back to the kitchen category because I know that all the cabinets are at the top of this category. And I can start adding in the different types of cabinets that I need. So I'll add this one, click and drag, and here I need to be mindful of the eye. Make sure that is pointing towards the middle of the room. Gonna add that there. Click on the plus sign to go back. Gonna add another one. Rotate. Place that right there. Click on the plus sign to go back. Gonna do this one. Rotate. Put that right there. And we need another one. Gonna do this one. Rotate. Place that right there. Plus sign. I'm also gonna do, let's see, this one. Rotate and place that right there. Okay, so now I've added all of the cabinet types that I need, but as you can see, something is not right. I have some overlapping, I have some that aren't filling out the space, but I know that this is the type of cabinet that I need. So instead of fiddling with the measurements and spending time on that, I've just added them, and then I'm gonna use this super cool feature called Best Fit. So we can start with this one that's currently overlapping. When it's selected, I can go to the settings on the right side and do Best Fit Width. Watch what happens. It's amazing. It just adjusts automatically and fills out the space correctly. Let's do that again with one of these ones. I can do this one. Best Fit Width. Fills out the space. Last one here. Best Fit Width. Fills out the space. And it saves you so much time. So especially if you're doing kitchens, if you're doing built-in bookshelves or closets, please use the Best Fit buttons. They are great and definitely a big time saver. And yes, there is this like sliver of space between them, but that is only going to show here in the work area. It does not show in the 3D, and it does not show on your floor plans. It's going to look seamless and perfect. And that is it for the basics, and most of what I showed you is actually available for free users. It's only the live 3D so far that I've showed you that is only available for pro and team users. I'm gonna show you a few pro features as well, but before we do that, I do wanna show you how to generate 2D and 3D. And I'm gonna start by creating some 3D photos. I'm gonna bring in the camera right here. Rotate to face that towards the kitchen, and then I'm gonna click take snapshot. And at the beginning of this video, I showed you an example of a snapshot and how that can be upgraded to a high quality 3D photo. So this is the low quality snapshot. These are free, you can save them to your projects. They're fine, but of course we do want to upgrade them to those amazing 3D photos with high quality. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this one in my project, and then I'm also gonna generate the high quality 3D photo so you can see the difference. And 3D usually takes up to about 15 minutes to generate, so we're just gonna leave that for now, and we'll come back to that at the end of the session. Then we wanna generate the floor plans. So first I'm gonna go to the orange menu and I wanna preview the floor plans. Please preview your floor plans. This is also a pro feature. You need a pro or team subscription to be able to preview, and I honestly think that's reason enough to upgrade. We want to make sure that everything looks the way it should before we actually generate, before we spend that 1 credit on generating. So just double check that everything looks great. If you're happy with it, you can go ahead and click Generate 2D Floor Plan. The 2D floor plan only takes about a second to generate, but we are going to generate the 3D as well, so I'm just going to exit this window. Go back to the orange menu, again preview the 3D floor plan. Make sure everything looks the way I want it to, and then we can go ahead and click Generate 3D Floor Plan. And again, 3D takes up to about 15 minutes to generate, so we're going to come back and look at that at the end. Okay, last thing I want to show you in the app are just a few of our most popular pro features, and we're going to start with Replace Materials. So I'm going to click on the plus sign to go back into the furniture menu, and I'm going to search for a couch. But what's important when you're searching in RoomSketcher is that we have specific names for all the items, and you need to know the name. So if I search for couch, I get 0 hits. Obviously we have couches, we have a lot of couches. We just call them sofas. So it's just, you have to try to figure out exactly what they're called, try a few synonyms. If for any reason you're not able to find that item when you're searching, please reach out to us at support@roomsketcher.com. We might be able to help you either by giving you the name, or maybe by finding out that that's something that we don't have, and maybe that's something we should add to the app. So please let us know if there's something you can't find. Okay, so I'm gonna add a sofa. I'm gonna do this one, click and drag, rotate, and place that right there. And with all of the items in the library that has this little color wheel, you can replace the materials. And right now it's about 99% of all our items, and we are currently working on making all of our items editable with materials. So, but if it has this color wheel, that means that you can change the color and material of the item. If you click on the item that you have selected, in the settings on the right side, you have Replace Materials. And you can see here that I'm actually able to change the material of all the different elements of this item. So I can click on Fabric to change that, but before I do, I want you to pay attention to the current material of the sofa. So just take a second, take it in, look at the material. I'm going to click on Fabric, and then I have 3 options. I can choose from our menu of materials. I also have my favorites right here. Those are the ones that I've saved, the ones I use a lot. And then you can even add in your own hex and RGB codes. I don't recommend adding this to textile though, but this is great for wall color, or if you want to change the color of the kitchen, for example. Going back to the main menu here, you can scroll through. I'm just going to add this color and click Apply. But it turned gray. I added green and it turned gray. And that's just because you're actually not able to see the material changes in the work area here. So what we do is that we can use the camera, take a snapshot, and then we can see the change of that sofa. Now you can see that it is actually green. But what we can also do is use split screen with the app and the live 3D window. And this is not a RoomSketcher thing, it's just a computer thing. So what I'm gonna do is minimize the app and minimize the live 3D window. Okay, and now I have a split screen so I can see what's going on in live 3D while I'm doing the work in the app right here. And what's also really cool, yes, I can see the material changes, but when I move the sofa, I can even see it move in real time. So this just gives you extra control when you're furnishing and when you're making edits to your project. And now when I've selected the sofa and I click on fabric, I'm able to see the changes, able to see the different materials as I'm adding them, just to make it easier for me to figure out the right material for this sofa, for example. And I can click apply. And that's it. That's how replace materials works. Another thing I wanted to show you is how to add measurements. And so I'm just going to maximize the RoomSketcher app, go back into Windows, etc. mode. And here we have two different types of measurements that you can add to your project. We have measurement wizards. This is a room measurements. It is only available for pro and team users, and it's awesome. Then we have symbols, text, and lines. These are available for both free and pro users, but these are manual measurement tools. Also great, but we're gonna start by looking at measurement wizards, and these are the options that you have. And these are automatic measurements. They're based on the wall lengths that we put into the walls at the beginning of the project. So I can add this one. Here is the room measurements. Then I have the room dimensions. I have the outside measurements. And this one is always going to be a square. So what we also have is this single wall measurement that I can add, for example, to these walls over here to make sure that I'm able to measure everything. Perfect. And that took me 4 seconds. Super easy, super quick. Love it. I can exit measurement wizards. I can go into symbols, text, and lines. And here you do have some arrows, you have some compasses, and you have some measuring tools at the bottom here. And these two are the ones that I really recommend using. They're the ones that I use the most. And I would typically use these to measure the distance between items. So for example, I can use this one to measure the distance between the sofa and the fridge. So I can place that right there. Use these arrows to adjust the size. And there we go. However, this specific measuring tool is better for longer distances. If you have smaller distances, what happens is that the line kind of hides behind the number. So this one is better for those longer distances. But if I want to measure something smaller, for example, the distance between these two doors, I'll click on the plus sign to go back to the menu, and I'll use this one. I personally actually prefer using this one because I find it easier to place with the flat edges. So I'll just position that next to the door, change the size there. And no, it does not show the measurement on the line itself, but it does show you in the settings on the right side. So it's 26.9 inches. What I can do is I can copy this. So I'm going to do Control C or Command C. Click on the plus sign to go back to the menu. At the bottom, I can add a text box. And in the text box settings on the right side, in label, I can paste in the number. I can even add a little IM here if I want. And I'm gonna change the font size because right now it's a little bit big. Change that to 15. And there you go. So it has an extra step, but it is quite easy to place. And you can also rotate that if you wanted to go along the line like this. And that's it. That's what I wanted to show you in the RoomSketcher app in this video. And last thing, we need to take a look at the floor plans and the 3D photos. To find the things that we have generated, we just go to the orange menu, and we're gonna start with the 2D floor plan. And here it is. And from here, you can print it directly, or you can save it to your computer. So from here, you can choose the right format. If you want it as a PDF or as a JPEG, you can choose the paper size and the portrait and landscape, and then you just click save. Just make sure you save it somewhere it's easy for you to find it. Same thing with the 3D floor plan. We can click here, and here it is. You can even click on the thumbnail to open the image to have a better look at it, and it looks great. Gonna close that down, and from here as well, you can print it directly or you can save it to your computer. Now, for the photos that we took, I mentioned that I saved the low quality snapshot, but I also upgraded it to a 3D photo. And you can already see the difference here. So here's the low quality, which is fine. But again, if you are showing it to a client, if you want to wow someone, the high quality 3D photo is just, it's so much better. It has more material depth, it has shading, it even has reflections in the appliances. It just gives that wow factor. If you want to download the photos, just click on details, and from here you can print or you can save them to your computer. And that's it for what I wanted to show you in the RoomSketcher app. Now let's go order a floor plan. To order floor plans, we have to come back to our web portal, click New Project, and order floor plans. First thing I need to do is to add a project name, and we do recommend that you use the name of your client or the street address of your clients. So I'm gonna write in Hilton Street, there we go. Then I need to specify the number of levels. So how many blueprints are you giving us for this project? I'm just gonna do 1. Then you need to decide on the furnishing, and we have 3 options. You can choose unfurnished, that means that we're not going to add any furniture to your floor plan. If you have fixed installations on your blueprint, we are going to add that though. And then you have fully furnished, that means that we're going to add room-specific generic furniture to your floor plan. What's important for this to work is that you have indicated room names on your blueprint. So if you have a bedroom, for example, we are going to add a bed, a bedside table, we're gonna add a desk if there's room. And then you have furnished as indicated on blueprint, which means that if you have fixed installations, we're gonna add that. If you have a sofa, we're gonna add that. I'm gonna do unfurnished. For outside measurements, I think it depends on like how many floor plans are you ordering and what is your intention with them. If you're a person who orders a lot of floor plans, you just want it to be quick and easy and you need them all to be measured, then yes, do outside measurements. However, if you are a person who orders a few floor plans and you know you're going to be editing them after you get it back, then I would actually add the measurements myself in the RoomSketcher app. Click Next. We're going to upload the blueprint. Click to open. Just add that. And if you want to double check that you uploaded the right one, you can go ahead and click in the thumbnail. And this is actually a great example of a typical blueprint we might get. And what's really important is that you give us at least 1 measurement right here in the blueprint. And we need that in order to scale your floor plan properly. And of course, the more measurements you provide, the more accurate your floor plan is going to be. But of course, we do great with just the 1 as well. You can also upload a PDF. Just make sure to add the page number on the PDF where we can find the blueprint. Click Next, and here is a summary of your order. Now, for free users, it is $38 per level, and you get a 2D floor plan, a 3D floor plan, and a digital project that you can open and edit in the RoomSketcher app. For Pro and Team users, you use your credits to order floor plans. So it's 10 credits, which is 35 to 20 US dollars, depending on the credit package that you buy. And you get a 2D floor plan and a digital project that you can open and edit in the app. And then you can decide if you want the 3D floor plan as well or not. Once you click place order, it's going to take 1 business day to get your order back. You're going to receive an email with a link. When you click that link, it's going to open your project in the web portal, where you can directly download your professional floor plans, or you can click to open and edit it in the RoomSketcher app. I hope you found this video super helpful and that you're ready to get started with RoomSketcher. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and check out the other videos in our channel. Thanks for watching!